Hey, welcome back. I'm Liam and this is Jeep Sheep TV. Today we're going to look at the 0 to 60 tests that we performed for the previous video, but this is going to be a little bit more in-depth so you can really see what's going on. Hey, also, if you like this thing, what is this thing? It's a neck gaiter. It's literally just a piece of cloth that can be used for all kinds of different things. But what I did was I printed the YJ grill onto one of these because I have to wear masks at work and I wanted to represent my Jeep while doing so. If you're in the same boat as me, I'm selling these on the new Jeep Sheep TV store. It's literally jeepsheeptvstore.com. You should check it out. I have a YJ and a TJ right now with all of the other grills coming if there's demand for them. Anyway, let's get going.
All right.
Before we dive right into the data, and really this video is all about the data, it's more so for you to generate an opinion because I already stated mine in the previous video. Yeah, that's right, this is part of a series. If you haven't checked out the other videos for whatever reason, we're taking a DynoJet Power Commander 3 that is designed for a Suzuki GSX-R motorcycle and we're putting it in the Jeep. And we're trying to figure out if it does anything worthwhile to the Jeep, and that's exactly what this test is for. And I stated my opinion in the previous video where I'm asking, is it faster? Today we're going to review more of the raw data from that and talk about what it means, but also this is for you to generate an opinion of your own. Again, now I could spend an entire video with disclaimers. This is not your standard 0 to 60 test for so many different reasons, which is why my numbers are far below what you would expect to see in 0 to 60 for, say, a stock Jeep. This is also lifted and blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I could get into this for days. But the big thing that we need to take away from this is that we need to be able to compare data to other data, right? It doesn't matter what we're looking like compared to the world as long as we can compare our data to our previously taken data and look for deltas or change between the two. That's what this exercise is really for. Now, before I talk at you too much, why don't we just get into the data? This first set of data is me going 0 to 60 on the same road. The first few videos you're going to see are with the Power Commander 3 set at all 0, so emulating not having it at all. And the next set is going to be with the Power Commander 3 with a tune built into it that came from DynoJet for that GSX-R. Again, it's a completely different engine, so we're not expecting it to be worlds better, but the claim that we're testing is that it does make an improvement.
All right, let's test one.
Now in the test that you just watched, the Jeep's automatic transmission was shifting on its own. So it was deciding the shift points. We're getting into a next set of videos where I decided the shift points and I manually shifted it with the lever. But for these, that's part of why it's so slow. And you can definitely see that where it chooses to shift into third gear is clearly not optimal because they all bog down in third gear. The other thing that you're going to notice is that my throttle position is all over the place. For whatever reason, I had a really hard time being consistent with my throttle as far as my foot to the pedal, pedal to the floor. That's going to have a huge effect on the data. What we really need to do is we need to find a couple of videos where the throttle position was at least somewhat consistent. So then we can compare those. Those are going to be apples to apples. We need to eliminate as many varying variables as possible so that way we can look at just what we want to know, which is the PC3 actually worth putting on the Jeep? The DynoJet PC3 was recording the throttle position in each of these tests. I've scrubbed through quite a few of these, and the test number 2 with the PC3 set to all zeros is very comparable to test number 1 with the PC3 at the GSXR map. And how I'm doing this is I'm going through and I'm picking a couple points. So let's say we're just above 20 miles an hour here, 80% throttle. Over here, 86% throttle, just above. Whereas if we picked another test over here, and we scroll down there, 72% throttle. There's a 10% difference in throttle between, say, test 4, test 2, and test 1. And so when I compare them, test 2 and test 1 from the GSXR and the all zeros, those two are the most comparable. We'll do one more point here so you can see what I'm talking about. Just under 50, we're at 69% throttle. Just under 50, 66. These two really are the most comparable. So let's take a look at those side by side. Now if we take this data and we put it in an Excel format, so you can see here I've got 5 tests from having zeros in the PC3 to having the GSXR 1000 map installed. And I didn't mention before that we are adding 26% more fuel because Jeff, who we're trying to emulate, has an aftermarket fuel pressure regulator. So in this little graphic here, we can see speed is on the left here. This is in miles per hour. So between 10 and 20 miles per hour, 30, 40, 50, and 60. And these are the times at which the Jeep hit that speed. So if we're looking at the no adjustment over here, we can see how it performs. And I've done a quick calculation to figure out the acceleration between these. So this one would be between 10 and 20, 20, 30, and so on, and this one being 50 and 60. And then if we go over here, we have the exact same thing with the GSXR map with the accelerations as well. Now, these are conditionally formatted in Excel, so they'll show which one is high or low compared to the other, and so are these, just in a different color. And I mentioned before, we're struggling to see a lot of similarities in the graph, or trends, I should say, in the graphs. But in here, we can start seeing something where no adjustment to the fuel map is always better, orange is better, always better time, up until between 50 and 60. And the GSXR map is always worse up until between 50 and 60. And that's across 5 separate tests, the last 2 being manual shift tests. So these should be very comparable as far as data. And then you can see the accelerations between 20 and 30. The PC3 with GSX-R map did a little bit better by like really nothing at all. And then of course at the end here, it does quite a bit better. So that's really the trend that I'm seeing in here. Now, after looking at the data, you can see that there's a ton of variation between the graphs and really not a lot of trends that follow. However, I did point out a few. Now, with that being said, this video really, I'm trying not to bias your opinion too much in this video. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And again, like I said before, I could spend an entire like 10-minute video explaining all of the inconsistencies between this data because it's incredibly hard to be consistent on an uncontrolled environment like we had here. Honestly, it's even kind of difficult on a controlled environment like a dyno. There's just so many things that can be affecting the system. But that's not what we're here to talk about either. This is just for you to examine the data and see what I'm seeing. Now, you're probably wondering what's coming up next. Of course, something's coming up next. Next, we are diving into the O2 sensor. The O2 sensor is really important because with a fuel-injected system, you have a closed-loop mode where it's trying to find that stoichiometric air-fuel ratio, and it's going to really affect a lot of things here. This test, I did the best I could to keep on the throttle so that way it's going to stay in open loop. And for the most part, I think we can see that because the fuel trims are different between the PC3 with the GSX-R map and with the zeros. So I think we achieved open loop, but when we get into the O2 sensor videos, we're going to talk a lot more about getting the Jeep to go from open loop to closed loop, back to open, and so on. So what does that mean for you? That means you need to be hitting the subscribe button. Why haven't you hit the subscribe button yet? Just kidding, you totally already did. But if you haven't, there is a bell next to it. You want to be notified of these videos because this is a rolling series and it's important you watch them in order so you don't want to miss one, all right? Okay? Also, this is in a playlist, which is really cool, and I talk about a lot of other things in the community tab, so there's things on my channel for you to utilize. Playlist is a really good one. I mentioned the community tab. That is another one. It's literally right on the YouTube page where I'm actually trying to interact with you guys. I have polls, I'm asking you questions, I'll throw it interesting Jeep engines on there because why not? We're also on Instagram and Facebook and Patreon and Subscribestar, and we're launching a website, and we have the Jeep Sheep TV store. Woo. So really, there's tons of stuff for you to do and interact with us here on Jeep Sheep TV. Yeah. All right, hit like, leave a comment below. Bye.